Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go. I was not going to do a video today, but then I was watching Law and Order SVU, which I'd like to do on Thursday night, and NBC broke in with the news that Israel is attacking Iran, and I when I finished up watching my shows, I waited for the 11 o'clock news, and apparently the attack is still going on. They say that the U.S. is is not going to get involved. Well, we'll see about that. And so I thought I should do a reading about this and just see where it takes me. It's kind of shocking. I think that the whole Middle East is a big tower moment. It's just the powder keg of the world. And Iran plays a very big part of it. Now, I have to go back to many years ago when I lived in New York. I was living on the Upper West Side, which was really a long time ago. And I remember reading this article in the Village Voice. It was kind of like a fantasy piece. And they were saying that they had this nightmare scenario of World War III beginning with, it would begin in Iran and then spread to the whole Middle East and then the world. Now, of course, they said that this would happen somewhere around 1980. This was back in the 70s. And funny how that just seems so far off back in that time. But I've never forgotten that. I mean, at that time, that was the Shah was still in power, and the religious fanatics, although his regime was pretty flawed, but we didn't have ayatollahs and all that crazy religious fanaticism. But it's still a very important. It's sort of like the linchpin of the Middle East. So we're hoping that doesn't happen. But this is like, I knew something was cooking in Iran. I was hearing some chatter about it. A possible Israeli strike. Well, they did it. I don't know. I guess this is a Netanyahu thing, and as you know me, I believe in the survival of Israel, but I'm not a big fan of BBs. So I don't quite know what to make of this, so I'm going to let the cards do the talking. And of course, this is the tower. Everything that had Gaza's been a big tower. October 7th of it's going to be 2 years pretty soon. That's another tower. The Middle East is just one tower after another after another. So I am hoping we don't get involved with this, because we certainly don't have the right leader for this. That's for sure. And I understand they pulled some people from the embassy there, which is a very good idea. So I'm glad to hear that happened. They say that one of the spiritual leaders was killed, and possibly a couple of their top scientists, from what I heard on the news report and on NBC. And then I also checked with Reuters, which I figure is a very reliable source to go to, pretty much said the same thing. And that what the big scare is that they're really afraid that there's going to be a retaliatory strike in Israel, which will be very bad news, because I've got friends that live there. In fact, Oracle of Whimsy. Oh no, she was in Mexico this time, right? No, she makes some visits. She does make some visits to Israel, but this time she was in Mexico. Thank God, because I'm going to see if what the cards are going to say, if Iran is going to retaliate, which I would imagine they probably are. So I'm getting all of these guys I shuffled up. I did before I started this, but I always like to do it while it's on the camera so no one thinks I'm stacking the deck. I've never stacked a deck in my life. Okay. So we're going to see what is the story here and see where the reading takes me. And then if necessary, I'll do some follow-up mini readings. Now, my friend Susan messaged me and she said she's been watching my videos, but she's had a little bit of problem with this hearing it. So I got this mic stuck up as close as I can, and I hope that works. So we will see what we will see with this. And I mean, this is still going on. And usually, you know, when I make videos in the evening, I always have them published for the next morning. I think I'm probably just going to give it enough time to upload, and then, you know, maybe an hour, half hour, an hour from when I'm done with this, I will upload it, schedule it to be published, because this is a breaking story. So, okay, so we have here, we have the moon. We have the moon. This is telling me that this is the, of course, it is the nuclear thing because, you know, surprise, surprise, Iran has not been keeping up their part of the deal. But this also goes to all of the, and I was thinking of this before, I was thinking of all of the, you know, psychoses of fundamental religions, and that really, I mean, they are religious fanatics, and you've got the trifecta there. I mean, you've got the very you know, fanatical Muslims, you've got, I'm sure the evangelicals like to make their little trip there, and they support Israel because they think that, you know, that's where the rapture is going to happen, yada yada. Then you've got the very ultra-Orthodox Jews who, you know, if you have one parent that's not Jewish, they don't consider you Jewish, and that they look down on people that don't live like back in the Middle Ages with the laws and all that. So you got all these three, you know, kind of like the, I shouldn't say the worst, but you've got really the kind of the shadow of all of these. All three can be really wonderful, but they, like everything else, they have their shadow side. This is what the moon in reverse is saying. It's like all of the sickness, I should say, of overly religious. This is the energy. This is the energy. And then a further energy would be, interesting, the Nine of Pentacles, which is about the oil and the wealth too. So they may not be attacking for that, but that's always the subtext of everything that's going, because of all the oil-rich things, and maybe there, and that is the wealth. That is the wealth of the Middle East, but it's also that women are subservient, and they, you know, and I've heard the stories that they get the fashions from Paris, but they just model them in their harem room, and they don't go out. They're just, they've got all the riches, but they're very sequestered. So there's a lot of that going on. So they're kind of trapped in a sense by the wealth that they have. So, leading up to this with the before tarot, we have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, and this is the gathering. This is the gathering of the family and the legacy. They're just starting to get together. When it's in reverse, it means they're highly dysfunctional, corrupt, not a great legacy, and it's more like legacy rather than accomplishment. So, we've got, whether it's Israel or Iran, you've got like all of the moneyed interests at work here. And this has gone in a direction. See, this is the thing with the cards. They always surprise me. So there is that. Now I know that the whole nuclear thing is a big thing, but this is always the elephant in the middle of the room, is the wealth of. Okay, so, and then. And I guess what they hope to accomplish with the after tarot is the Six of Swords. They've landed. They've gotten to they have landed. That's the whole thing. The Israelis have gone through those waters. They have landed. They are going ashore. And it's like anybody's guess as to what is going to happen here. So, on the underlying side of this, we have the Hermit. I'll tell you something with I really put this on Netanyahu. I mean, this is just an example of what a mess he's made of things. Unfortunately, Israel they may be, because of Gaza and all of this, bad publicity, they may be standing alone in a certain sense, or I have a feeling they're not going to win any popularity contests with this. So let's see. Then we have, what this is saying is that they may want to ease up, or the universe or Iran and maybe the rest of the Arab world is going to do it for them. So I'm kind of questioning this whole thing. I know that you can't trust Iran as far as you can throw them. Trump screwed it up the last time by breaking treaties and all this sort of thing. So, while I may question what the Israelis are doing, you can't actually, this began long before this. You get one bad leader of a country, then add the other bad leader, and then here you've got this mess. And this is like there's going to be a lot of misinformation, a lot of miscommunication, and it's going to be happening very fast. Very, very fast. Okay, so in opposition to this, we have, oh boy, we've got the Tower. It's just like, you do something like this could be disaster. This could really, really be disastrous. And, we just don't want to see the rest of the world getting sucked into this. Or I'm going back to that Village Voice in 1973 or whenever that was, that I read. It was so long ago. Okay, so, as far as the Israelis go, I want to look at the conscious thoughts. You've got the Three of Wands in reverse, which is telling me there could be 3 attacks. And, it's in reverse. Wands in reverse can mean violence or, craziness. So there may be 3 waves of it. Who knows? They could be on the second or third one, but they're showing 3 waves of attack. That's the conscious thing. Subconscious is the King of Swords in reverse, which is we got to look at that. I wonder, maybe they know that there could be some sort of treaty violation, maybe violation of international law, and misinformation going out to the people. He is so Bibi is so unpopular in Israel. He really, truly is. I'm wondering if the Israelis are really on board with this. I'm kind of thinking the answer is no, because they're really put in danger. They're really put in danger. So let's see. In the past, you see, because I started hearing the rumors that they could be attacking, was it yesterday or the day before? Okay, so then we have, in the past, we have the Fool. They are taking a big, big chance with this. I would have expected this to be in reverse, to be foolish. Wouldn't it be wild if this meets with success? But I have to call them as I read them. They are really taking a big, big risk, and I need to put a clarifier just to see if they're going to land on their feet, because sometimes the guy doesn't land on his feet. This also tells me that there was a certain amount of planning with this. They didn't do it just on the spur of the moment. But let me put down a clarifier for this. So then we have the Queen of Wands. So this is inspiring leadership, and it is of a female energy. That's telling me they may pull it off. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Or if there could be a woman high in the government who might put the lid on it. I think that may be more likely, or try to put an end to it. Maybe someone we don't know about, but maybe some woman diplomat who's not exactly in the Bibi Netanyahu fan club. Okay, so and then coming up just before the present, we have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. This is the two-handed thing. This is the breaking of the treaty. Iran broke the treaty because they've been doing enhanced nuclear whatever, and this is what has set this off. Now, who knows, this may not be the best way to handle it, but this is actually what happened. Whether you approve or you disapprove, this is what happened. They've killed a spiritual leader and possibly two scientists, which means the two primo scientists, which means that's really set them back on their nuclear testing. So there may not be an easy answer to all of this, but because of what's been going on in Gaza, people may have the need. And if Iran attack, there's so many ifs. If this is free will gone crazy. Okay, so in the present now we have the Ace of Swords. So they see this as their truth, and about what Iran did to provoke it. So they're done. They're going to cut through the BS, and they are attacking. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that the cards are here to give us a better we can understand. We may not approve, but we can understand. And to me, this is so early. I don't know what to think of this. It's like one thing after another, after another, after another. So in the immediate future, okay, in the after tarot we have, okay, oh, here we go. Now we've got the Three of Wands upright. I think maybe the Three of Wands that we had in reverse, yep, over here in the conscious thoughts, is about that they hadn't, okay, now when I draw another cards, these things make sense. In reverse, it was saying they hadn't done it yet, but they were planning it in 3 waves. Here we've got the bird with this, and the after tarot means that they're done. So it could be that they've done their 3, because this has been going on for hours now. They've done their 3 waves of attack, and they may be done for the time being. Or they're going to be done. They're wrapping it up. They're pretty much, they weren't 23 minutes ago when I first turned on the local news just for a couple of minutes. So then, further down the road of the, oh boy, again, we have the hermit. He's with his dog, who I would say that dog looks like you could correct, but he's handling the serpent incorrectly, which means they could get, it's hard to know, but they could get bit. Now, this tells me they may be anticipating, and the dog says maybe they're ready for it, but they picked up this serpent, and the serpent could bite, and it could be poisonous. So let's see, the more of the aftermath of this is, this is interesting. This is the 2 of Swords, and in the aftermath, it looks like she's made the decision. The other men are taking her swords away, but she's still got the blindfold on. So it's like the deed it was a hard decision. The deed has been done. This is telling me there could have been some others involved with this. So far, they say it's not the United States. I'm kind of hoping it isn't, because we do not have the commander-in-chief that would be up for this, not with his rapidly declining. So these 2 cards look like it's kind of, they really put themselves in danger. And the fool back here says that they have. Now, when the fool is upright, if he falls off the cliff, it's not a catastrophe. He can get back on his feet again, which Israel has been really well known for doing. So that's what this fool back here tells me, that even if they get attacked, they're ready and they will land on their feet. If the fool came in reverse, it would say that was totally, they did not, that risk did not work out really well. So in the hopes and the fears, let's see if we do this in one card. Well, this is a pipe dream. The hope is that they're hoping that if they can really sock it to Iran with all their nuclear weapons, they can go on living happily ever after. That is the hope. But it's fantasy land too. It's not realistic. It's not, but that is the hope. It's pretty naive too. Now I have to do another for the fear, the hope and the fear. Okay. The fear is that, the fear is from the rest of the world, and from them too, from the citizens of Israel, is that resources, the brain power, their incredible intelligence, it could be misused. It may not be used properly for the highest and the best, because here we got our old 10 of Pentacles in reverse. So that is the fear, and that this could really backfire. And I think anybody with half a brain in Israel right now, because just like we in the U.S. are not Trump, the citizenry, and from the friends I know who live there, they're certainly not BB. So in conclusion of this is the Nine of Swords. Like, they're not worried. They should be. They're not worried. They're not, the leadership is not losing any sleep over this. And that to me is foolish. So what I want to do now, and this is going to be a short one, my big fear is that, with what we have, my fear is the U.S. going to get involved with this, because nothing could divert Trump from his troubles, like the court decided, as I was speaking in the previous one, the court was going to decide whether it was illegal, and they decided it was illegal, but they're going to let them go through the chain of BS. I think that they will probably, this court will be upheld. So I don't want to see a wag the dog thing. I keep wondering when, if the U.S. Armed Forces are going to say, no, we are loyal to the Constitution. So I just want to do a quickie to see what are the chances. What are the chances that we could get involved, or other countries, including us, get involved? I'm pretty sure that the EU and NATO do not want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, for sure. So I'm going to get these cards back in here, because that's a very scary thought. And I think some of the other readers of the previous days have been a little bit nervous about this whole story developing, but I just want to see with a few cards what the chances. I mean, the energy, talk about energy changing, it could be changing very quickly. So if I feel that let's say, if the cards say, oh, there's a good chance that could be totally different by tomorrow. I would almost think that if he decides to do something, his life could really be in peril for that. I don't know from whom exactly, but I always thought if he goes too far. Now he's got the MAGAs all ticked off because of all this National Guard stuff, and it's just totally crazy. So I'm gonna give this a quick shuffle to see the rest of the world getting involved in this. The thing is that, my hope would be is that Congress will not give the money for this. I mean, Ukraine is one thing because they're the ones being invaded. This is so crazy that right now, who knows what tomorrow will bring, but right now this probably would not be a good idea for us to get involved. And the thing is, we don't have the proper leadership to do this. We just don't. And I know that because of the wheelings and the dealings, I know he didn't go to Iran, but, they're in thick as thieves with those other countries. So he'd be caught between a rock and a hard place about, with Qatar and all this kind of, the Muslim religious fanatics, so I'm hoping that will be a deterrent, but we shall see. Okay, so we have the signifier here, which is the Chariot in reverse. Thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God. Okay. Right now, This doesn't look as though this is moving forward. Go a little bit to the past with this. The Knight of Wands, it's saying, yeah, that's recklessly, there is Tehran, Tehran in the background, and there's the Knight of Wands, and they may want to get charged. Maybe he's thinking to charge through with it, but Chariot in reverse is stopping. It's like this is not even up for discussion. It kind of makes you wonder if some of the people in Congress are saying, you know what? We're talking impeachment. I mean, maybe just the threat of that. Who knows? Okay, so a little bit into the future, we have the Three of Wands in reverse. Another good one. That's a no. A no. I'm glad we have a major arcana in reverse. I've got cards falling out of here. So let's see. So then we have the overall energy of all of this is it's a loser. Thank God this is in reverse. Losing proposition. Very losing. So right now, there's not the will to do it. We heard, as I say, I heard on the news that the U.S. is not going to get involved at this time, and they've been yanking our people out of the embassies. That could all change. But if he were going to do it now, he's so impulsive, he would have. And I just want to ask the question, if he were, would the military be on board for this? And we have the Nine of Cups. That's kind of the smug merchant sitting in his comfort zone, which is saying that that possibly the military would be sitting back and saying, no, it's too much of a risk. So let me throw a clarifier on that, though. Oh yeah, because I think what they're saying is we need to stay put because we could be very, very weakened by this. I think that may be the magic thing to say to him. Look, it's going to weaken us. It's going to weaken your money interests. So let's see what the clarifier says. Yep. Got too many deals going on in the mid. See, money. That money thing, that is the engine that's keeping the Trump train moving. The politics are so involved in the Middle East with the in Qatar and all of these places that one misstep and he could blow all of his deals. Saudi Arabia, I mean, it's hard for me to and I think I keep up on these things. It's hard for me to understand which one of these Arabian country likes the other and hates the other. It's a very intricate thing. So I think people are telling him, you made some lucrative deals that could go down the tubes. So you may just want to stay out of it. Hadn't thought, that's what I like about these cards. I hadn't thought of it. Really hadn't thought of it in that way. But that is the money talks and the bullshit walks aspect of this. So this is actually telling me that, he may want to go ahead and do it, but, as a diversionary thing. But he's got a stupid parade, which could be rained out. And people are telling him it's too involved. You could be ending those lucrative deals that you made. And that would make you look like a loser. You lose the money. It's too complicated to understand. So it's best that you stay out of it. And I think That Six of Pentacles is right on about that. They've got that's the kind of like the wheeling and dealing with the keeping the scales in the balance. So for now, I would think that that would be the thing that stops him from lobbing missiles. God forbid. At any rate, I hope that makes me feel a little bit better. Hope it makes you feel a little bit better. But stay tuned. I am sure there's more going on. But so I'm going to sign off for now. So bye.